Hello everyone, and welcome to another bonus video. This is my, we'll call it wealthy family build for the new Life and Death pack. I originally was thinking I would do multiple packs for this home, but I then decided, no, I want to see if I have no budget, how this pack works. If you missed my last build video for the Life and Death pack, I struggled to make a starter family home. Now, I do want to clarify, you can make a starter home for one sim with this pack fairly easily. It's when you start adding more sims to the equation that it doesn't work as well. So I encourage you to check out that video if you are considering buying this pack. Yeah, we'll get into that a little more later. But with this house, I of course started the shell before the pack came out. But I again have an inspiration house for this one. And what I liked about this one was the kind of outside courtyard area that you'll see me make. It's small. It's just you have a set of stairs that go down, and your front door is kind of off a courtyard, which I liked. So it also had a really cool tower, and yeah, so it was pretty cool. And I mean, I didn't follow it exactly, of course, because I never do. But I really like how the shell of this turned out. I really like how a lot of the inside turned out as well. Eventually, I promise we'll move over into Ravenwood, but I haven't gotten the pack yet as of this part of the build. So, yeah, I knew I wanted to try to get at least a couple of build videos out this weekend for you guys, so I started everything early. I also haven't been feeling the best, so unfortunately, I'm not going to get as many as I wanted to. But I got a couple, and Tuesday will be the graveyard build, and a few photos of the upgraded graveyard that I did, a month and a half ago now. If you haven't checked out that build, check that one out. Links will be below and in the video if I remember to put those in. If not, go to the channel page. They're there, I promise. So, this build, I really wanted to go with a more traditional feel. So, kind of more closed off rooms, etc. I do want to state I am putting the shell for this build up on the gallery. I changed quite a bit when I actually got in to furnish it when I moved it from, the base game to the Life and Death pack. But I'll put the shell of this because I think it's a cool shell. But that'll be up on the gallery. Take a look for that. Along with this build, of course. This build is already on the gallery as of when I'm recording this. Because I finished this, took my photos, threw it up on the gallery, and called it good. Let me know, though, if there's any problems with this build or any of my builds. When you download them, if there's anything missing, anything acting weird. I had to re-upload the cemetery mausoleum build I did because it wasn't downloading correctly. But yeah, feel free if you notice something is off to let me know because I will try to go in and fix it if I can. So, but anyway, I again wanted to make this build more of a, wealthy family home, multi-generational type thing, though that wasn't the original intent. It ended up being there, but I'll explain that as the build goes on. Um, but one thing I do want to say about this pack is I love the architectural features. I like the columns, I love the phrases. I love everything about the architecture and in this pack. Now, that being said, I would have liked a plain swatch for what I'm going to call Grimm's doors without, the skulls and all that on there. I get why they're there. It would have been nice to have a plain swatch so these could be used in other worlds besides Ravenwood. Well, okay, they can be used in other worlds. I am probably, speaking of that, going to do a build that will feature life and death, paranormal, some of the occult hacks, just because I think they will go well together. So look for that probably next Tuesday, not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday. And I just think it'll be fun to do. Um, Not sure exactly what I'm doing there yet, but something. I'll do something with that. All right. So the front of this house had this like cool window thing going on. I couldn't recreate that exactly with this pack. I also couldn't recreate the front exactly with this pack, but um limitations of the Sims. That's how that's working. So I got close though. These rounded windows are really like I love these things. I do. I love all of these windows. Um we needed more of this type of thing in this game. I think it helps a lot. And as I said, I think it's going to work well with a few of the other occult packs. So excited for that. Um, I I do wish that we had a few more color options, but that's always a wish. Nothing against this pack for that at all. I always wish we have more swatches. But but it never happens. So the other thing is this freeze. That's how I say them. This wooden frieze around the outside does jut in a little bit into this build. I played with some of it and fixed it, but I couldn't get other areas to knock it off. So if that's something that really bothers you, you may want to delete that. But I don't think it's going to be a big deal. You don't really see that in gameplay, so it should be okay. Right. So also, I struggled with where to put windows in this house. Um, I had an idea of what was going where, um, but window wise was a little bit of a thing. And then I created this nice like entry area that changes quite a bit too as we go through this build. I lose the staircase, I think a couple of times. I know at least once, but I may have lost it more than that. But the entry ended up a lot bigger than I wanted it to be. So eventually you'll see me play around a lot with various areas to put a bathroom downstairs because I realized I didn't put one in the original floor plan. I don't know why. I normally do. I have no idea why I did that. Eventually, a bathroom does go right in the middle of that entry, and it looks cool. I like how it kind of I don't know, adds to the space and creates just a cool, like, know, area. I like it. I think it works well with this house. The other thing is I didn't, of course, as usual, do the bathrooms on camera except for the main or the master bathroom. I normally don't. There's how many? 3, 4, 5 regular bathrooms in this build. Yeah. So so here are these little rooms that I have are me trying to put bathrooms in somewhere. And then I decided I wanted a fireplace. And then I decided that I needed something there. So I put the windows in and the roof in and yeah, you could see I just kind of struggled with this house in general. Um the I did want to point out these porch areas on the second level. I wanted to have two kind of porches that jutted out. The original build had those. It didn't work well in the back of the house, but I was able to keep the one in the front, and I love how that turned out. I think it's just a cool little like Juliet balcony that, you know, wasn't one from the game. It's one I created. So I loved how that turned out. Now here you can see me playing with the floor plan up here. And this is where I decided this back room in the tower is going to be a guest room or possibly a like mother-in-law suite. So they have bathroom and a decent sized guest room. Just thought that would be a cool idea there. It's kind of off on its own, so that's nice. And let's see, what else did I think of at this point in time in the build? Not a whole lot, just windows. Lots of window figuring out. And this is where I removed that bathroom from the back. Uh, I just didn't like how it looked. Um, yeah, all the windows. So many windows I played with. I do eventually figure this out, I promise. But yeah, the shell for this build alone, oh, probably just getting the floor plane and the shell done was a good 5 to 6 hours of work. I did my starter home build Thursday and worked on this Friday morning for a few hours until I just couldn't like focus anymore. As I said, I'm not feeling the best, so um I also worked on it a bit this morning, but the shell was mostly done at that point. But yeah, I want to say altogether it was a good 5 hours of work. Here, the kitchen. The kitchen I struggled with quite a bit for numerous reasons. I loved the cupboards and this color, and I was going to use it whether the game liked it or not. To be honest, this was the start of my frustration. I did get very frustrated with this pack, but it wasn't too bad in here. It was just a few little things that just weren't quite working out. I really wish they had given us a tile and a tile floor in this pack. That would have probably helped me a lot. But I really wanted to use as much from the pack as possible. Um, I figured it out. I figured out this room. The dining room, absolutely loved, worked out great. No issues there. Same with the living room. That worked out pretty well. Now, I'm going to say this, but I'm going to rant once again about lack of curtains. They did not give us curtains in this pack. The curtains in the base game suck. I'm going to be brutally honest here. So, yeah, they're very formal curtains that go into here, into this build where I put them, because I did not put them in throughout the whole thing. Um, but you can see me playing here going, what am I gonna do? I ended up putting these Roman blinds into most of this, area and a lot of this build. I didn't want it to be extremely formal, but the curtains alone make it feel more formal than what this build should be. So, if you download this, you have other packs. Please, please, please replace the curtains. And Sims Team, get us more base game curtains. We just need some that look more modern. Maybe have better color swatches on them. I mean, yeah. I think that's the problem. Like, I like a few of the curtains for base game. It's the swatches are just so horrible. They look bad, the textures on them are bad, etc. So, that's my problem with the base game curtains. All right, so here you see I moved into the dining room. I wanted to get things in here and clutter this up a little bit before I finished the kitchen. Um, Mostly just to see what I could put in here. I didn't want to repeat more than I had to. Um, and I wanted some, some interesting things in here. So I think it turned out really well. I do absolutely love this dining room. It's a favorite room. I love that rug, by the way. That rug is awesome. That swatch of that rug is awesome. I was debating about using that throughout the house as like a runner rug, shrinking it down. I did not, but that's an idea if you want to put it in the hallway areas and shrink it down. Um, I think it would look cute. I did not do that. To be honest, if I download this and put it in a game, I might go through and put like Realm of Magic carpets in here or something. Vampires carpets. I got to see what'll match. I did go a lot of brown and this teal blue color in this build too. Mostly because I think somebody on the Sims team really likes the blue and teal because we get those in every pack. Every pack. And I'm not complaining. My one of my favorite colors is blue slash teal slash, that realm of things. But yeah. And I was so happy. I got debug to work at least a little bit, and I found these cool curtains that are debug. So those went in. Um, I also struggled a bit later on with debug, mostly because I had to take out mods, put in mods. I'm still playing with my mods. So it stopped working again for me, but I got it back by the end. So outside has a lot more debug than inside does, but it's still cute. There is a lot of space in this house to add things. Not saying it's empty. It doesn't feel like an empty home. There's just more space. I also, as you can see, struggled with this. I was trying to figure out how to put a TV in here, and I gave up. I'm like, you know what? This is just going to be a nice, more formal family room and no TV, or like living room, not family room, but living room. Instead, I add a TV to the master bedroom and I add like TV area in the tower. So it kind of goes that way. Um, so there's not, TV watching here. It's a more formal. Now, if you want to put a different fireplace in here and stick a TV up on that wall, go right ahead. It's designed so you can. But I do love this living room too. As I said, teal, it turned out really well. I did add these pillows in. They are from one of the events, and I think everybody got those. So I don't know if it's everybody who had the that, who played at the time they downloaded that, or if just everybody gets those now. But I figured I'd put them in. So hopefully you have those. But other than that, everything else is definitely base game and life and death. So kind of struggled a bit with lighting in here. Lighting is just a thing, I think. But um, yeah, I've been noticing the lights floating more. I never had that problem before, and I don't know why, but I'm noticing the spotlights, even the bigger ones, are just like floating everywhere. So I'm trying not to use as much of those unless it really makes sense and I'm being strategic as to where I place those. But there is a reason that builders like those little lights. they're bright. It makes it easier to see when you're building. So you'll see me throw those in and then take them out if I have something better to replace them with, but not always. All right, so here we have our office area, and I just decided to do like a desk and a, chess table. Simple office, nothing too extravagant. I didn't picture this family being one that like worked from home or any of that. So it's just an office. Nothing crazy. I do use these tarot card paintings everywhere because it's about all we had that changed a lot. But you'll see here, I decided to take them out because I did want this to look different. I knew the tarot cards would get used throughout more of the build upstairs. So that's the one thing. A lot of this pack focuses on Grimm, which makes sense. And, maybe Sim's having an obsession with Grimm. I didn't want to design this house with that in mind. So I put some in there because, it is a life and death pack, right? But I tried not to go overboard with putting in that decor. Now, that being said, you download this build, it's yours. Have fun. I also kind of wanted a fountain in this entry area, but unfortunately, base game fountains are not the greatest for that small space. So it's got a bench, put in a new door, and yeah, this little flower thing, and I think that's about it. I didn't do a whole lot with this area. Oh, and a light. I did put a light. But yeah, it just didn't speak to me. Besides, I really wanted a wall fountain on there. And yes, I will go back in and add that in my own game. But most of this I do like. What I will say is as I get upstairs, and we'll be moving up there shortly, I start to realize that this path, they kind of just threw random things in here when it came to like bedrooms. So I used this bed in what I'm going to call the guest room, and it works. It's a nice bed. There isn't really a good wallpaper that matches this bed. There, at least in the life and death pack. So I got this one from base game. Back to the curtain issue. I'm not going to rehash that. But this worked well because it was a guest room. Vibe, whatever worked. I was kind of picturing it. Maybe it's their, parents' room. You're playing maybe with ghost sims, so you move them into a house that, has other family members. That was kind of my thought with this room. And so that kind of worked. But as I move on into the children's rooms is where things started to stress me out a little bit. And I'm going to be honest with you. This house is not as decorated as my homes have normally been, and maybe part of it is just because I wasn't feeling well while I was doing any of this. Um, but not like well enough not to do it. I had to do something here and there. I was gonna go nuts. But I it's not as decorated, it's not as cluttered as some of my other builds, but it's not horrible. In general, I love the layout of the house, so I would probably use this in a game at some point. Um, but what drove me nuts with this pack was just the lack of beds to an extent. We didn't get any single beds, and we got two queen king beds, whatever you want to call those. And that worked out okay, but none of the swatches really screamed teenager. So I struggled with that, which is common in a lot of these expansion packs. It's not, This wasn't a teenage pack. Um, and I find myself often wanting high school years whenever I build. But that was a thing where it's just like the swatches, but then it was the swatches. Some of the swatches didn't have matching wallpaper, or vice versa. If you watched my last one build video for this pack, like there's an awesome yellow swatch. There's there's no beds or anything that match it. I could pull it's a base game for the artist career that has like a yellow swatch that would probably be okay with that. But yeah, that's the downside to this. And it was a struggle to get these done. Same thing with the kids' rooms. There wasn't a lot that I could add into that one. So I had to go base game, pink. Yeah, I just feel bad because it's supposed to be base game life and death, but it's supposed to focus on, life and death, that I couldn't quite do it. Same thing with this. We got a random bed. That was about it. A random bed and the cool, stuffed animal there in the corner. I do love that. I absolutely love that thing. It's awesome. So, just some things with that. We didn't really have good wallpaper to go with this toddler bed. So that's where kind of my thing is it's like I had to really, really mess with things. And it took quite a while to create these bedrooms. I'm not mad at them though. I like this home a lot more than I liked the other one. Um, but as I said, some issues. This one is the teenage room, and I really wanted to use this one of these beds, and it just wasn't coming together. It was looking like, old lady room. So not that old, but you know what I mean. So I ended up switching it to something a little more bright and fun. I tried so hard to get some things from the Life and Death pack in here, but I struggled. I struggled a lot. And that is, you know, kind of it. At this point, I was a little frustrated because this pack was probably one of the hardest ones for me to build with when it came to like bedrooms and all of that. Now, one thing I will say, if you own base game and that's it, I would recommend the Life and Death pack to add gameplay. I would not recommend it necessarily for build items unless you like using debug. Later on, when I get my debug working again, it kind of made me love the pack more because I love fall and there's lots of fall like dead debug stuff. It's great. But yeah, it for build items in general without debug, I don't think it's a main reason to buy the pack. But I also don't think that was the main focus of the pack. They put a lot into new gameplay, and I've been playing it a little bit here and there, and I like it. I like that I can throw it into my legacy game, and a lot of the stuff with it fits in, and I don't even have to worry about the grim stuff or, any of that. I can have you know, my Sims parents have a will, things get handed down. And that part is beautiful as long as it works. I haven't personally tried that. It seems to work. I also like that you can just randomly get inheritance. I think that's part of the introduction to the pack, which is kind of cool though. And I do like that I could go in occult wise and kind of play this. I did start a brand new game and played around a little bit with the Grim Career. I didn't go too far into it because I finally got some mods updated and wanted to get back into my one legacy game I'm playing on my own. Um, But I definitely think when it comes to our cult legacy challenge, that will be a great addition for that. So, very excited there. But overall, if you're a builder, I don't know how much this pack really adds for building. Um, as I said, if you want dead things and fall, yes, this adds a ton. But if you're looking more for, your normal everyday stuff, if you have other packs, like almost all the other packs, like I do, um, then yeah, I think it would be a good addition. If you only have base game, don't buy it for build. That's kind of where I'm at. Unless you love dead things, then it would be a great one. But definitely buy it for the gameplay. So that is my opinion on this pack at this point. Now, I'm saying that building two houses. My opinion may totally and completely change when I start the graveyard build because well, I've started it, but I haven't pulled it into the life and death pack and built with it yet. So I'm hoping it does change at that point because that's kind of what this pack is about. So yeah, I'll let you know on Tuesday how that goes. All right. So anyway, back to this build. I kind of didn't want to talk about bedrooms. They're bedrooms. But this room here, I wanted to create as kind of the kids' TV watching room and chill out room. So they get their TV and their little poofy cushions. I wanted to put a game thing up here, but instead I decided this was a good spot for a deck of tarot cards. Mm, And then, just kind of went through what do I want this to look like? Put in a couple of shelves and decorated that up a little bit. I started feeling better at this point in this build. This room came together a lot better than I thought it would going into it. So, yeah, you can tell I did a little more decorating there. So, I did not put a whole lot up here. And that was because I just couldn't figure out what to do. I did put a telescope. I put a outdoor workout area. We have a treadmill on the main floor as well. But like the telescope, I wasn't going to do that because there's one literally right outside this lot. But, then I thought about it and went, what if you don't live on this lot? So I did think. Okay. All right. So outside, decided to put in like a deck and, figure out what I wanted to do here. I didn't want a whole lot out here, but I definitely wanted some areas for the kids to play because, they at least have a child and a toddler that still needs some things to do outside, right? And of course, I had to put in the new, playground stuff we got. So you'll see me, though, play around a little bit with this debug. I got to point that out. I finally got debug working right here. And just trying to figure out what I was going to do with this outdoor space. There's not a lot, but there's some. Uh, I also do end up moving the house back at one point because when I lifted it up, I realized you couldn't get into the front very easily. So, yeah, I just wasn't thinking when I built this at all. I wish we could do stairs that went right to the road because that's what the original, house that I based this off of had. They went right to the road. And I could have done that if I put some of this terrain paint down, made it look that way anyway, but I didn't. So you'll see me play a little bit. You'll see the house move just a touch. But I still managed to get this playground equipment in. I did take out these blankets, though. They didn't quite look right once I moved the house. But yeah, this is where you could see me kind of playing with it and realizing I have to move it. And I'm sad because I liked where it was positioned. but it just looked funny from the front. So moving the house and yeah, just kind of cleaning it up at this point because, the fences went away. Um, but in general, I think this is a cute house. I think it uses quite a bit from the back. I didn't want it to have that kind of dark, creepy feeling. I may do a build like that later, but what I'm thinking of doing, actually, I probably will do a build. Um, what I'm thinking of doing is redoing an old haunted house I built forever ago and adding in some of the stuff from this pack. So let me know your thoughts on that if that's something you guys want to see. I've debated about going to some of my, first builds that I did for this channel and for for the game in general. Some of them might be old enough I didn't even record it, but I uploaded them to the gallery. I'm not sure, I'd have to go look, but I thought it would be kind of fun to redo those. Let me know your thoughts because I'll do it. So here, just kind of, re-putting in my stairs because they deleted and then they were giving me problems. So I had to do all this stuff just to put in the stairs again. But yeah, stairs in The Sims. Yeah. So anyway, we're coming up on the end of this build here. I thought it was fun to put these little shrines, a couple of them in, just because, it is a life and death pack. Is what it is. Yeah. If you don't like them, take them out. The front would be a really cute place to put a fountain. Yeah, and just kind of I wanted to create this where, yes, it's a wealthy family, but maybe there's still room to grow with the build. So I hope I pulled that off. Didn't do a lot with landscaping just because, but I think, again, less is more in this case. And yeah, so I'm going to let you take a look at the photos and I will be right back. All right, so that's our build. I do want to point out that top tower room I could not get a photo of, so that's why you only got the floor plan part of it. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this build. Also, your thoughts on this pack, whether you like it or not. I'm just curious. And make sure to check out the next build video on Tuesday. My graveyard slash cemetery slash funeral home thing I'm doing. I'm not sure what I'm calling it yet. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I'll see you next time. Bye now.